Part 27.8 Surah An-Naml, the Ants, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed, Kanzel Quran, and Naml the Ants, chapter 27, verse 38. He said, O nobles, which of you can bring me her magnificent throne before they come to me in submission? The narrative now hurtles forward from the prophetic ultimatum delivered by Solomon, peace be upon him, verse 37, to the decisive demonstration of divine power. Having exhausted the diplomatic path and confirmed that the Queen's final response will be driven by fear of military might, Solomon, peace be upon him, sets out to prove that the spiritual power backing him is infinitely greater than her most formidable material symbol, her magnificent throne, verse 23. He addresses his own council, the assembly of Jinn and men who form the elite of his court. He said, O nobles, which of you can bring me her magnificent throne before they come to me in submission? This question is a direct challenge that elevates the confrontation from a physical conflict to a spiritual and supernatural one. Solomon, peace be upon him, is not interested in merely conquering the queen or her city. His aim is to shatter the spiritual and intellectual foundations of her sun-worshipping kingdom. The magnificent throne is the ultimate symbol of her sovereignty and the material pride, a lure that blinds her people, verse 24. By transporting it, Solomon, peace be upon him, intends to prove that the power of Tawheed, the One, Allah, he demands they submit to Khan, effortlessly dismantle their most sacred object of worldly pride. The timing is critical. Before they come to me in submission, he seeks to perform this miracle before the queen arrives.
Oh, man.
So the sight of her throne, already present in his court, will serve as the final, overwhelming and undeniable proof of his prophecy. This act, known as Karama miracle bestowed upon a pious individual or Mujiza miracle bestowed upon a prophet, will completely bypass the queen's nafs ego and speak directly to her kalb heart, compelling her to submit to the truth of the Lord of the magnificent throne, verse 26, through the sheer force of the evident supernatural reality. Quran, An-Naml, the Ants. Chapter 27, verse 39. A formidable one among the Jinn said, I will bring it to you before you rise from your place. And indeed I am powerful and trustworthy for this. The challenge issued by Solomon, peace be upon him, verse 38, is instantly met by a powerful, immediate response from one of his extraordinary subjects, the Jinn. A formidable one among the Jinn, Ifritan, Mina ul-Jinn, steps forward with a bold claim of capability. The term Ifrit denotes a superior, mighty class of Jinn, renowned for their immense strength and speed, confirming that Solomon, peace be upon him, commanded the most potent forces of the unseen world. The Jinn's offer is startling in its precision and speed. I will bring it to you before you rise from your place. This measure of time, calculated as the duration of Solomon's, peace be upon him, court session, a matter of a few hours, signifies an incredible feat of instantaneous transport over what would be a distance of thousands of miles between Yemen, Sheba, and Jerusalem. This demonstrates the scale of the power that Allah had subjected to his prophet. This capability confirms the earlier verses describing Solomon's, peace be upon him, unique dominion over the Jinn, verse 17. The Jinn concludes its offer by asserting its credentials, and indeed, I am powerful and trustworthy for this. The power relates to the physical strength required to transport the massive, magnificent throne, while the trustworthiness relates to its character, ensuring the throne will be delivered intact, without damage, alteration, or theft. This necessary dual assurance highlights the unique complexity of dealing with the Jinn, whose loyalty, despite their power, must be verified. This challenge and its immediate acceptance set the stage for a spiritual contesta race against time and space to prove the supreme reality of Tawheed. Kanzel Quran, and Naml the Ants, chapter 27, verse 40. Said he who had ilm of the book, will bring it to you before your glance returns to you. So when he saw it placed before him, he said, This is by the grace of my Allah, to test me whether I am grateful or ungrateful. And whoever is grateful, he is grateful for the benefit of his own soul. And whoever is ungrateful, my Allah is certainly self-sufficient, the all-bounteous. The drama culminates in this verse, the pivotal moment where material power is completely overshadowed by spiritual ilm. Before the mighty Jinn can even begin its Herculean task, an even greater force steps forward, said he who had ilm of the book. This figure, traditionally identified as Asif ibn Barkia, a pious human servant of Solomon peace be upon him, or Solomon peace be upon him himself, possessed a profound spiritual ilm derived from the book, meaning divine revelation and knowledge of the greatest name of Allah. This individual represents the supremacy of pure spiritual knowledge over physical strength, even that of the formidable Jinn. His offer is the absolute pinnacle of speed and capability. I will bring it to you before your glance returns to you, this indicates. Instantaneous transport. The throne would be moved from Sheba to Jerusalem in less than a second, literally faster than the blink of an eye. This miracle, achieved not through physical might, but through the profound, esoteric ilm of the book, confirms a core Sufi principle. Spiritual power Baka is eternally superior to material force Fana. The instantaneous nature of the miracle proves that the power of Tawheed transcends all physical laws and the capabilities of both human and Jinn. As Solomon, peace be upon him, witnesses the throne instantaneously placed before him, his reaction is one of absolute humility and perfect tawakkul. Echoing his prayer after hearing the ant verse 19, he instantly redirects the credit away from any personal power. He said, "This is by the grace of my Allah, to test me whether I am grateful or ungrateful." Solomon, peace be upon him, recognizes that the miracle is not a reward, but a trial, a test of his kalb to see if he maintains the state of continuous gratitude or succumbs to ungratefulness. He then universalizes the spiritual lesson, and whoever is grateful, he is grateful for the benefit of his own soul. And whoever is ungrateful, my Allah is certainly self-sufficient. The all-bounteous gratitude benefits the soul of the believer by fostering a connection to Allah and increasing blessings, whereas ungratefulness causes no harm to Allah, who is self-sufficient and completely independent of creation. This monumental act of power is instantly tempered by the highest standard of prophetic humility, cementing Solomon, peace be upon him, as the perfect model of a leader whose immense power is entirely rooted in absolute Tawheed and constant gratitude to Allah, the Ar-Rahman. Kanzul Aman, Quran, An-Naml the Ants, chapter 27, verse 41, he said, "Make changes to her throne so that we may see whether she is guided, or whether she is of those who are not guided." With the Queen's magnificent throne now standing instantaneously in his court, Solomon, peace be upon him, moves to the final stage of his psychological and spiritual strategy. He issues a command to his people regarding the transplanted throne. He said, "Make changes to her throne so that we may see whether she is guided or whether she is of those who are not guided." The command to make changes involves subtle, yet significant alterations to the throne's appearance, designed to change its distinctive, familiar look. This is the ultimate test of the Queen's spiritual perception. The Queen is accustomed to worshipping the external, familiar forms of the sun and the magnificent material splendor of her state. Solomon, peace be upon him, seeks to gauge whether the shock of the supernatural miracle will have lifted the veil from her kalb, enabling her to recognize the essence of her throne despite its changed form. The objective of the modification is purely spiritual, so that we may see whether she is guided, or whether she is of those who are not guided. If the Queen recognizes the throne despite the alterations, it suggests that her soul has been awakened and she is capable of seeing the spiritual reality hack beyond the material illusion fauna. This would prove that she is guided and ready for submission. If she fails to recognize the throne, it proves that she is still bound by the external, unguided by true ilm, and remains attached to the transient form. This subtle test of spiritual perception, performed on her most sacred symbol of worldly power, is the final preparation for her arrival and conversion. Kanzul, Iman, Quran, An-Naml, the Ants. Chapter 27, verse 42. So when she came, it was said, "Is your throne like this?" She said, "It is as if it is the same." And we had been given the ilm before her, and we had been in submission. The Queen of Sheba finally arrives, having been terrified by the return of her envoys and the news of Solomon's, peace be upon him, absolute non-material power. The moment of truth arrives as she is led into the court where her modified throne is displayed. The test of her spiritual perception begins with the direct question. So when she came, it was said, "Is your throne like this?" The question is phrased to be deliberately ambiguous, neither confirming nor denying the throne's identity. Her answer is the critical spiritual verdict, she said. It is as if it is the same. Her response, Kanahuhua, is an acknowledgement that is both cautious and deeply insightful. The use of as if shows she recognizes the essence of her throne's unique craftsmanship and magnificence, but acknowledges the changes Solomon, peace be upon him, had made to it. This suggests that the shock of the supernatural message has indeed begun to lift the veil of ghafla, heedlessness, from her kalb. She is now capable of seeing beyond mere surface appearance and recognizing the underlying reality, demonstrating that she is ready for guidance. The final clause of the verse shifts back to the commentary of Solomon, peace be upon him, attributing the success of the strategy entirely to Allah. And we had been given the ilm before her. We had been in submission. This is an assertion that Solomon, peace be upon him, and his people were already guided and in submission, which is why they were granted the superior ilm, the knowledge of transporting the throne. This emphasizes that true power comes only after submission, and that Solomon's peace be upon him miracle was a demonstration of a pre-existing state of Tawheed, which the queen has now been granted the grace to recognize. Kanza Laman, Quran, and Naml, the ants. Chapter 27, verse 43. And what she used to worship instead of Allah had averted her. For indeed she was of a disbelieving people. The narrative now provides the spiritual judgment on the queen's former state, identifying the root cause of her initial deviation and confirming the Hupu's original diagnosis. Verse 24. The verse states that what she used to worship instead of Allah had averted her. The phrase, what she used to worship, refers primarily to the sun and the general material splendor of her kingdom. This material focus created a veil, an internal blockade, that averted her from the simple, clear path of Tawheed. Her own magnificent kingdom, and her reverence for its material symbols, became the very barrier to her salvation. This psychological and spiritual obstacle is rooted in the collective state of her society. For indeed, she was of a disbelieving people. The term disbelieving people refers not merely to political opposition, but to a people whose core belief system was founded on the denial of Allah's sole divinity. The queen was a product of this environment, making her deviation understandable. But her eventual readiness for guidance, verse 42, makes her spiritual journey all the more remarkable. This verse serves as a crucial reminder that shirk is not just an external act. It is a spiritual veil that actively prevents the kalb from seeing the truth. The entire sequence, from the ant's speech to the immediate transport of the throne, was necessary to forcefully tear this veil away, allowing the queen's essential root to finally perceive the hacked truth of Allah, the All-Giver and Lord of the magnificent throne. The extraordinary narrative of the magnificent throne, verses 38-43, is a powerful, compressed lesson in the supremacy of spiritual ilm over material power. Solomon, peace be upon him, challenges his court not with physical might, but with a question of speed and power that only Allah's grace can grant, verse 38. The instant superiority of the knowledge of the book over the brute strength of the jinn, verses 39-40, is the cornerstone of the sequence, demonstrating that true capability is derived from Tawheed and the mysteries of the book. Solomon, peace be upon him, his profound humility and spontaneous act of gratitude upon seeing the throne instantly transported, provides the ultimate ethical standard for power, verse 40. While the change made to the throne, verse 41, serves as a final ingenious test of the queen's spiritual perception. Her answer, it is as if it is the same, verse 42, confirms her readiness for guidance, her kalb having finally overcome the veils of sun worship and material pride, verse 43. This entire event is a perfect spiritual engineering project designed by Solomon, peace be upon him, to guide a great soul to submission to Allah, the Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Hadith. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught, look at those who are inferior to you, and do not look at those who are superior to you, for that is more likely to keep you from disdaining the bounty of Allah upon you. Sahih Muslim, Hadith 2963. This hadith reinforces the prophetic character of Solomon, peace be upon him. It's played in verse 40. When the throne is instantly materialized before him, does not look to his own superior power or intelligence, but immediately recognizes it as a grace of my Allah, to test me whether I am grateful or ungrateful. By immediately attributing the miracle entirely to Allah and humbling himself into a state of gratitude, Solomon, peace be upon him, prevents his nafs from becoming disdainful of the immense bounty bestowed upon him. The hadith highlights that true piety requires constantly diverting the focus away from self-praise or comparison with superior beings like the ilm holder and anchoring the qalb in thankfulness to Allah, thereby passing the test of gratitude that the miracle represented. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, grant us the spiritual wisdom to recognize when the oppressors project their own inner rage and spiritual turmoil onto the righteous. Guard our hearts from the fatal arrogance of worldly power that boasts of being a vigilant group, unaware of your absolute, all-seeing eye. Protect us from the destructive spiritual trap of deep attachment to gardens and springs and earthly treasures, which leads the soul away from your path. Make us worthy, through patience and faith, to be the inheritors of spiritual and worldly goodness, granted through your decree of ultimate justice. Grant us the grace to stand firm when the forces of denial pursue us, knowing that our ultimate security rests in your divine command. Instill in us the certainty that the end of worldly pursuit is ruin, while the end of faith's journey is the gift of your eternal proximity. Sustain us with your boundless provision and save us from the pride that forfeits the akira for fleeting worldly gain. We ask for this spiritual clarity and victory through your magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ilm. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Amin.